let me tell you, we are sitting back and we are watching some of this content and we're like, what the actual are you talking about? If you've ever followed a viral makeup tip from a beauty influencer and ended up looking worse than before, you are not alone. I just want to tell you that right now. This video is going to be a bit of a talk about how influencer makeup advice, while often well-intentioned and you know, is made for entertainment purposes only, could actually be sabotaging your makeup routine. Now, I want to be clear right off the bat, this isn't about dragging people. There are incredibly talented creators out there who care deeply about what they teach. Some of them makeup artists themselves, some of them makeup teachers themselves. That doesn't mean everyone has the same intentions, right? Because the culture we're in, the influencer economy, the pressure for virality, we talk about this a lot, the push to sell products has created this bizarre landscape where content is valued over accuracy, right? If you've ever felt like your makeup just never turns out the way it looks on Instagram or TikTok, on YouTube, I'm here to explain why that's happening, and I have been doing that my whole YouTube career, and why it's not your fault, and why it's not your face's fault, why it's not your makeup skills fault. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this, because let me tell you what really kind of influenced me to make this. Now, you can make makeup content absolutely online, but when it comes to giving advice, I would tiptoe on whether you're being accurate with your advice, whether you're just trying to come up with a next big thing. I get sent a lot of people's content because of my reactionary videos. And here's what I would say to those beauty content creators. Are you actually giving good makeup advice that actually works? Or are you just trying to create the next big, oh my God, I'll try that, when it actually doesn't really work? Are you just trying to come up with something out of the blue? I have muted content creators on social media because a lot of the advice they give is shit. I'll be honest, it's not good. And I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know, have they tried and tested these techniques? Have they, because it wouldn't, because I have and it wouldn't. But let's talk about it. How are influencers ruining your makeup? Aesthetic, I can never say this, aesthetic, I can never say it, over function. Now what I mean by that, right, let's begin with one of the most foundational problems, right? Influencers are optimizing their looks for aesthetic reasons, not function. And this is what I always say about baking. Makeup online is built to look good in a hyper curated moments. Lighting, cameras, specific angles. You're up here. If I bring you down here, you see, just slight things like this. But what you're seeing isn't how that makeup looks 5 hours later, especially with the way people do makeup now online with a TikTok kind of space. Wear tests are not a thing. Very few people do wear tests. Some people do, but very few people do. So they're applying a product, they're saying, look how smooth my under eyes look now. But you're not seeing them 5 hours later, right? You're not seeing what it does when the wearer goes out into 80-degree heat, or wears it for a full day at work. Have you ever wore or done a technique that you've seen online, a makeup technique you've seen online, gone out, left the house and felt off? That's the disconnect. When you remove a controlled setting, the filters as well, the ring lights, the editing, it often falls apart. This whole thing of like, this is how you do this and this and this. Makeup artists, let me tell you, we are sitting back and we are watching some of this content and we're like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? There are some things that work differently in makeup for people. Something may work for you, something may not work for you. But then there are also things that just don't work at all. Product-wise, scientific-wise, formula-wise, texture-wise, that these people are coming up with. I'm like, why are you saying this? Why are you making promises you can't keep? And a lot of people compare their everyday face to someone's staged, lit, filtered final shot, and that sets you up for disappointment every time. And I know this is a fact because a lot of people message me and say, I tried this and it didn't look like it did online. And that's because it doesn't look like it does online in real life anyway. It doesn't look online how it does online. Right? As somebody who's been in the makeup industry since before social media, well, not MySpace, you know what I mean, but like since Instagram took off, since YouTube took off, the expectations for what people expect from their makeup, the reality of those expectations has completely shifted. You see things online and I look at people and I'm like, I know you're fucking lying. I know you're lying about your results of this. because if it factually cannot happen. Makeup has been around for hundreds, thousands of years. The era of TikTok and YouTube hasn't suddenly just fixed all these issues we're having. And yes, products have changed, but fundamentally they've been very similar. Our skin textures haven't changed. The way our skin works hasn't changed just because a 20-year-old on TikTok has taught you how to bake. That's not how life works. That's not how makeup works. That's not how the science and the artistry of makeup works. And I always say, creativity and individuality have no rules. Do the fuck what you want to do with your makeup. But makeup has a theory and it has a scientific backing. And that's why makeup artists are makeup artists. The professional ones. Okay, let's talk about products. Product overload. One of the most damaging habits is overloading ourselves with product, right? The influencer economy runs on sales, and I know I'm an influencer. And the more products in a tutorial, the more affiliate links, or the more brands are gonna see this content, the more brands you can tag. Say I do a skincare routine, or say I do a foundation routine. Maybe I'll use a darker concealer. Maybe I'll use a lighter concealer. Maybe I'll use a concealer to color correct. Maybe I'll then go on to use a lighter concealer to highlight. That's loads of different concealers from loads of different brands. Then I have my blush. Then I'm gonna use my bronzer. Then I'm gonna use my highlighter. Then maybe you're one of these people that likes to put powder over their everything. Lip liner. You know, the more products there is, the more opportunity there is for this influencer or content creator to be seen by brands. So suddenly your makeup routine has 10 plus steps before foundation even sets in. Hydrating primers, gripping primers, pore fillers, setting sprays between each layer is overwhelming, expensive, and very often counterproductive. Layering multiple products isn't always smart. If you're building up these products, especially someone with an oilier skin or super dry, flaky skin, building all these products up is not productive at all. If you use a hydrating setting spray, right, on a matte base, you're gonna break down your finish. You want that matte finish, you're breaking that down. But listen, I'm sitting here in a temperature controlled room, again, under ideal lighting. I'm gonna wear this look for maybe 3 hours, enough time to do a few more videos. And because I'm not doing a foundation wear test, I'm gonna mattify my nose. I'm gonna mattify products so it looks fresh every time. But you're not gonna see, unless I'm trying to show you the true effects of what this foundation looks like with a powder on top, with something on top. I actually haven't used that many products for this look, but you know what I'm getting at. You don't need dozens of products. You need the right ones. It's not about the number of products you're using. It's about using the correct products for your skin and your life and that moment you are in with your skin at this point in time. Lack of education. Now, as I said, you don't need to be an educated, trained makeup artist to be able to show off your makeup skills, your beauty skills, the things you do, these incredible looks you create with makeup. Here's the thing. A lot of viral tutorials are just that. They are viral, they're not thoughtful, they're not educational. And like we've all seen it, apply a blush like this, but no explanation, no breakdown. And when they come up with an explanation, it doesn't answer the question, it actually adds more. And when they try and explain why it works, I sometimes watch them like, well, that actually couldn't technically work because of this reason, this and this reason. And they don't talk about who it works for, who it doesn't work for. Makeup is personal. Face shape, undertone, texture, it all matters. But when tips are shared without context, you're left copying shapes. You're left copying colors, you're left copying layers and not learning techniques. And when those layer shapes, things don't work for your face, you blame yourself. You think you must be bad at makeup. It must be your face. My face is too old for this technique. But really you were just following a tip that wasn't meant for you, and a lot of the time has no backing as to why it would work or should work for you. We have a lot of educators in the space and a lot of really good ones, not just entertainers. And again, either one is fine, but pick up who you follow and think about who you follow and who they are. Are you gonna take your makeup advice from this person? Are you gonna take good makeup advice from this person? Or are you just gonna take product recommendations from them because you have a similar skin type? Are they entertaining because they create amazing looks that you might want to replicate? So it's not to police what people do online, but think about who you're following and what they offer you. I don't have to do all the same thing. Let's talk about filters, right? Let's talk about something everyone knows, but a lot of people don't admit. Filters are everywhere. I was tagged in a big beauty content creators content recently, or sent it, and they were doing an ad, right, for a product that will change the complexion of your skin or the texture of the skin. The video was filtered. Now, you may not have an issue with this because you like the person, you're not interested in seeing the true way the product works. I was so surprised at how many people could not spot that this was filtered. I could not believe it. They were saying, your skin looks great. Oh my God, your skin looks so smooth. Anyone's skin would look smooth. A brick wall would look smooth under the filter. You know what I mean? And they are not just obvious beauty filters sometimes. I'm talking about color correction, softening, lighting tricks, smoothing lenses, especially on these like new ones with a is it called DJ Osmo? I have one, I can never remember the name. There's a beauty setting on it. You can even go onto things like CapCut and it very subtly smooths out your skin tone and keeps your pores. So when an influencer says this foundation blurs your pores and their skin looks like glass, it's often a lie. You know that, right? The filter is doing the heavy lifting. And then what happens when you try that product? You see your real skin and your real texture, and now you're disappointed in a product that never stood a chance anyway. And this creates, again, that unrealistic expectation and kills confidence. That's the main thing. You're not just comparing yourself to someone else, you're comparing yourself to a digital version of someone else. And that's not fair at all, because that's not how they are in reality. And then you start to compare your skin to everyone else, which we used to with magazines anyway in the early day, in the 90s, and then you start to think that your normal skin is shit. And this is nothing new. I know all of you out there know this anyway. Okay, but let's talk about techniques, right? This one might sting. Many of the current beauty trends can actually age the face, and fast. And let's start with under eyes. I talked about this a lot recently. That triangle of concealer that looks bright on camera, but in person exaggerates puffiness. It highlights fine lines, it makes you look older. Over contouring can drag the face down if you're not doing it properly. It can be placed too high, too low. Over mattifying, that can suck the life out of your skin, that glow out of your skin, making you look flat, making you look dull. Let's not forget brows. Makeup should enhance the way you look, not erase features or exaggerate what you're trying to soften, right? It should be done strategically for your face shape, the textures, everything like this. So you may be following trends online that a smoothed out, filtered 25-year-old is doing, but if you're, in your 50s, you're not going to get the same result unless you have absolutely incredible skin, which I absolutely have seen on people over 50. Okay, let's talk about the skill gap. Now, this is going to come across really gross. Something that no one really wants to admit at the moment. Most influencers have professional level skill set, right? They've been practicing for years. They know how to fix mistakes. They know how to light their faces. They know what works on for camera. A lot of beauty content creators right now don't have any makeup skills. They put makeup on and it's great, Maybe people want to relate to that level of skill. But how are you going to tell people what to do with their makeup and how to improve it when you haven't worked on these people? You haven't worked on different skin types. You've only worked on yourself. A lot of people are very good at doing their own makeup. I had to learn the other way around. I learned on other people's faces, and when it came to social media, I had to learn how to do my own makeup because I didn't know how to. I learned how to do everyone else's because I could do it this way, but when it came to doing it this way, I was like, no, what? The skill just isn't there for a lot of content creators. So be wary, be mindful of who you are taking that advice from, because do they have experience as a professional makeup artist being paid to do clients of all different skin tones, all different skin types, all different skin textures, ages? Did I say that? They haven't had that experience, but they're telling you how to stop your under eyes from creasing. How do you know? How do you know how you're going to stop that 40-year-old, that 50-year-old, that 60-year-old's under eyes from creasing when you haven't had that experience? And listen, let's talk about a social media side of it for a minute. The algorithm's going to decide what you see anyway, right? The algorithm doesn't always reward the most honest things online, the honest reviews, the honest, unfiltered, things. So how do we deal with all this? How do we deal with all this kind of, who do we trust? What do we do? How do we protect our routines, our makeup routines, and our confidence from all this? Curate your feed, first of all. Unfollow creators who make you feel like your face isn't good enough or who you don't trust. If I ever do an ad, right, for example, it's because it's for a company that I really like, a brand I really like, whether it's makeup, supplements, hair, something, I will always try and test that product, or I like the product. Then if somebody comments saying, oh, this is an ad, I don't trust it, then I say, why are you following me then? If you don't trust my ads or my content enough to believe me when I say I like the product, why are you following me? How can you trust anything I say? If somebody is constantly giving you promises to this will hold your blush in place for hours, this will stop this from creasing, and it doesn't work for you, they're giving you incorrect advice. And yes, again, things are different for everyone, but their advice isn't for you. Follow a mix of people. Follow educators, not just entertainers. Look for real lighting if you prefer that. unfiltered tutorials. Always check, does this work for me, my skin, my day-to-day? And most importantly, give yourself some grace, right? Makeup isn't about being perfect. It's about feeling good when you're wearing it. You're not doing it wrong. You've just been watching the wrong examples and taking the wrong advice. Makeup is fun, yes it is, makeup is an art, but there are also a lot of techniques and science behind it. That's why you have your professionals, that's why you have your teachers, that's why you have your educators. That's why when people say makeup has no rules, it offends me slightly because everybody knows the rules of makeup. You stick to the rules of makeup. It's like when you cook, there are rules to being a chef, right? But you can still be wildly creative with it, and not everybody has to be a qualified chef to be able to cook. But yes, there are rules to makeup, and some rules do apply to you and some don't. You can be as creative as you like with it. However, if I went out the house with a contour that was 50 shades too dark for me, it's not gonna look good. You know what I mean? Influencer makeup isn't evil. The influence industry isn't evil. That's another thing we kind of need to get over. You're following the wrong people if you think it's evil. But we need to learn how to separate content from the craft. You don't need 12 steps. You don't need a ring light. You don't need permission to like your makeup the way you already wear it. That's just a rant I had to do because I've seen so much stuff recently. It's just come to this point where I'm like, just shut up. Just everyone shut up, right? And is my career giving advice online? Yes. But it's just got to this point where it's like, stop trying to make good advice to go viral or for that to be your thing. You don't give good advice to some content creators out there. If giving advice, if makeup expertise is not your thing, don't feel you have to do it. You can recommend a product without pretending to be a professional. You can say, this is how this works for me without being a professional. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to my beauty blog. It's free. It is paid content, but most of it's free. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I'll see you very, very soon.